Hey, we're live, buddy.
We are live.
Pressure time, baby. But we were born for pressure. We were born for this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, everyone. It's been a while since I've been on Facebook Live here. It's been a couple of weeks since I've had a guest on. And today I have Dave Austin. Dave Austin is a dear friend of mine. We met back in 2007, I think, at CEO Space in December. And kind of lost track of you. I guess probably lost track of you. And then we crossed paths again in like 2012 or 2013, maybe somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I start learning more about what you do at Extreme Focus for your company, and realized that this was something I needed to know more about. And so we dived in. So today, what are we going to talk about? Exactly. No. It's cool. So
stay on though. Stay on. If we get a clue, it's going to be really interesting. Trust me.
It will be. It will absolutely. So, hey, if you're watching this, Dave Austin is a best-selling author. You can read this if you want to know, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a little background if you don't know Dave. He's the founder of Extreme Focus. He's a former professional athlete, if I can say that correctly. He's a best-selling author, not just of mental performance books, but also of
Well, I wrote The Unfinished Cross, Listen to the Voice Within, 20th year anniversary on that. It's a faith-based book.
Yep.
And then co-wrote Songwriting for Dummies, which has been one of the most popular songwriting books of all time. It's kind of bizarre how that happened, but I think over 600,000 copies are out there worldwide, which is amazing.
Very cool.
And then this one that you can't find. It's somewhere in your office.
It's supposed to be back there, but it's not back there right now. So
the Be a Beast, baby, which we're mostly going to talk about, which is really dealing with extreme focus and how do you go to extreme focus? You know, we can talk about mental strength. I mean, your most expensive real estate is right here between the ears, and we can say there's good phrases to go, yeah, you do this, but how do you do it, right?
Exactly.
And that's what this is all about, and that's why you and I have had a lot of fun sharing it with the military. We've been to Fort Drum. We've been to Fort Sam together. We've done the Cleveland Cavaliers office. USAA. I know I can say it. You can't. So there you go.
Get me in trouble.
Get you in trouble. But, and having phenomenal results wherever we've gone. Because you dance and then I sing, and that's really what.
That's right. Yeah, I can't sing or dance, so we're not doing that. But I want to say I see David Norris and Stacy Winnick are on here. Both we know through Mary Morrissey's programs. And hello, David Norris. I know you and David actually worked together.
With the
Texas.
Police in yes. I tell you, it was so cool, and I love Dave Norris. I mean, Dave, you know that. You know how much I deeply love you, man. And Dave brought me back, and he brought me to tears when I wrote Be a Beast, because I just mentioned my dad, and I don't know if I said much. And then I get this email from David going, "You're Hammer and Hank's son, Hank." And I'm like, oh my gosh, no one knows that unless you served with him in the military. So I instantly started, getting emotional and got a hold of Dave. And I said, my dad? He says, no, I'm a little younger than that. But when he was at Texas A&M studying he became a, Marine officer, as you know. And he said the Admiral came in to teach about faith. I think let's see, it's faith, integrity, and courage. And the story they gave was about Hammer and Hank Austin, my dad. I'm going, you got to be kidding me, because at the time, Hank Aaron was on his path to set the world, the Major League Baseball record for home runs, and they were calling him Hammer and Hank. And the Admiral goes, or General, I don't know, because the Marines and the Navy are so tied together, goes, hey, you really want to know the true story of Hammer and Hank? Who the real Hammer and Hank is? So the story goes, just real quickly, when we talk about courage and faith, Iwo Jima was a very bloody battle. And so, the first wave goes in it was it was tough. Second wave goes in, men, third wave goes in. And finally the seventh wave, the Admiral goes, hey, where's Chaplain Austin? They cleaned the beaches. Now it's time to go to shore. And the sailor goes, well, sir, he went on the first boat this morning. So my dad led the charge without a weapon, just a Bible and communion sack. And I knew
And just to clarify, I don't know if you said it yet. Your dad was a chaplain in the military.
Chaplain in the Navy, right?
In the Navy, yeah.
And so he served with the Marines in World War II. And so I knew the story because at his retirement, I mean, I knew he'd been in Iwo Jima, but I didn't know exactly what he had done because he didn't really talk about it. And but the fact that David knew just blew me away, that they actually taught it at his ROTC, in college, about my dad. And
that's cool.
And that just brought me to tears, because one thing my dad said always, like when we asked him, why did you lead the charge? You're supposed to, come later. And he goes, well, that's where I was needed most. And that has been the key principles of my life. Where am I needed most? My dad passed away 24 years ago. And I swear I hear him saying that all the time. Or the other thing that I hear him say in those moments of decision, I took on machine gun fire for what I believe. What are you willing to take on? It's like I get nervous, like, well, what if I fail? What if someone doesn't like it? What if this or this? Wait a minute, you took on machine gun fire for what you believe? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It's the courage that helps you through.
Well, and I love that story. I've heard you told it so many times, and it's so relevant today, especially because we just passed Memorial Day. So I think it's a fantastic thing for people to connect to and understand. And your dad was in World War II. That's when he was first commissioned, and then he was in Korea, and then he was in Vietnam. And just as a sidebar, well, actually, I just want to say hello to Jeff Brody. He's on here. I know you know Jeff. He says hello.
Oh my gosh.
Mark McAuliffe is on here.
How's it? I'm loving everybody on this show tonight.
I know. Well, hey, you haven't met this guy, Rod Ballard. He is a friend of mine here from Nashville, and he's on here as well. So we got a lot of people coming on. It's awesome to see. So, buddy.
I just tried to.
I know. Well, hey, you haven't met this guy.
So this shows me how bad I'm tech-wise. Does this mean it's already live on my thing? I was trying to share that. Maybe
I guess so. I don't know.
I have no clue. Hey,
well, here, I'll do this. We're doing this live, guys. So we just go with the flow here and enjoy it. So
well, that's what you said. That's why I've got my coat and tie. No, I mean my Aloha shirt on. we hang loose. And I want to say something about with Jeff Brody on the call. He's out of Toronto, Canada. And when you and I first met, it was, gosh, I probably met Jeff probably around the same time, and I had the privilege of coaching him, CEO of a company up in Canada. Just an awesome guy. And so I got to shout out to all these people that I don't get to talk to all the time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, you are now officially watching it, so I think that means you're on the show now, Dave. I don't know. I've got my phone going over here, and I'm watching this pop up, but apparently you just showed up to the show to watch it too. So
oh, good. Well, I hope I get some knowledge. I have too many stories, but I got to tell a funny story since I'm watching myself. Right, see if I'm going to get anything. I'm working with a PGA golfer, and he qualifies for his first event. Well, no, he hadn't qualified. I'm sorry. He shot 7 under. Right. And that's pretty dang good. But there were 9 other guys that shot 7 under that day, and only 2 could make it into the main draw. Mm-hmm. So he's all upset. Well, he's just shot 7 under. Right. And he's all upset. I'm going like, oh, yeah, great. Because he's going to have to be in the playoff. He didn't want to have to be in a playoff. I'm like, hey, come on. This is your first chance to get into the main draw here. And so funny thing is I see him there, and a guy comes up and says, hey, man, how'd you do? Instead of going, I did awesome, I'm in the playoffs, he goes, oh, man, I missed that last putt on the 18th. I wouldn't have to be in the playoff. I could have just been in. I go, oh, boy, we got to change the energy here right now, because it's going to relate to other things we talked about. I didn't absolutely talk about this, but so I run up to the pro shop. I grab a sheet of paper. I grab a pen. I come down and said, hey, James, sit down. He looked at me, okay. And luckily, I've been working for a while, and he's willing to do what I ask him to do. And I said, just write 10 things you're grateful for right now. He was not grateful in that moment. But, I watched his whole energy change as he got through it. And then I said, next guy who asks you how you did, say, hey, man, awesome. I'm in the playoff. Nothing else. Do not get into any story. And so we just had to change it. So this is where it comes into where you say, I'm watching myself. He goes on the practice tee to get ready to go out for the playoff. And I go, oh, maybe I should give him a game ready. And we're going to talk a little bit about a game ready, right? I go, get him ready for the playoff. I go, hey, James, and he wasn't listening to me. He's swinging, you know. I said, James. He goes, shh, you're giving me a game ready right now. He had his ear set on, and I had recorded a game ready. He says, you're interrupting you. Be quiet.
Well, hey, I just want to give you a shout out. Your prime competitor for this show, Dan Clark, is now watching us.
Oh no! Now I really feel pressure. I really feel pressure.
You know,
hey,
yeah,
hey, Dan, he told me you wanted to be on this, and I told him to reach back out to you and say, only if you don't do as good as me. Now, if you try to be better than me, you're going to be banned.
Oh, the joys of working with you guys.
The problem with Dan and I are we both are ex-pro athletes, and we can't get rid of our competitive blood. And we love each other dearly, but we were not going to give the other one not an inch, but we have so much fun together. So anyway, great. Good to have you, Dan.
It's all good.
You couldn't even come close to doing this anyway.
The gloves are off. It's going down now. So let's talk a little bit. Let's play off that last story you told there. Let's talk a little bit about mindset of success. It's such a big thing. It's you built your career around this and teaching people how to have a mindset of success. And it's interesting because the work I've done in human experience and customer experience and all of that, I didn't realize how important mindset was at first. You know, once I start getting into it after the first couple of years of really doing this research, I stumbled upon some other people that taught me a lot in this space. And as you said, as we opened up, you know, we have done work together for some pretty amazing companies teaching mindset, and mindset changes the experience. As you said earlier, the experience of I'm in the playoffs or I'm in the freaking playoffs, you know, it's all about the mindset. So let's talk about right now. We're in, you know, some states are reopening. We're in the middle of COVID-19. Some states are reopening. Some are opening a little bit. Some are opening a lot. I talked to David Norris earlier today, and he was telling me that in Amarillo, which was hit really hard, they're still going through it, but they're coming out of it. The curve is flattening. He said restaurants are open at 25%. Here in Nashville, where I am, my wife's restaurant is allowed to go to 75% with social distancing and all that, but they still you can't fit that many people in the restaurant if you're still social distancing. So, you know, they're still about 50%. So there's differences across the country, but if we look at it, there's still businesses that are going to be impacted for a very long time. This is not something that's going to be over. Even if they open up tomorrow, it doesn't mean it's going to be over. So you and I have been talking with CEOs, business owners, you know, for the last 2.5 months now, where we've been trying to help guide them through in very different ways. Tell me what you're hearing. Tell me what you're seeing out there, both from the people that look like they're on the right path to win, and those who are on the path that are stuck maybe and not sure where to go or not willing to take the action to move forward.
Well, you know what? I mean, the truth is you've got both sides, and I have both sides because I deal with a lot of CEOs. I deal with high-level executives because, you know, my whole background, as you know, is coaching Olympic athletes, NFL, Major League Baseball, all that. And those are pressure situations. And you and I have done military together. So we know that. David Norris is on. We did the police in Texas together. They're high pressure situations. And how do you deal in those high pressure? So I have both sides of the spectrum here. I have 2 calls that I had just today, where both executives, you know, own their companies, been around for a while, have done well, but obviously this has impacted them. But the interesting thing is because we talk about it constantly, because it's all about the attitude. You're right. I said, this is your most important asset or your biggest distractor. And if you let yourself, you know, get angry, let the emotion take over, it's not fair. It's not fair. You know, all of a sudden you can't be creative. You can't look at things differently. So, you know, all I do is provide tools for them to maybe widen their vision and see opportunities, even though it's challenging. I'm not going to say it's not challenging, but here's 2 examples today. Here's a CEO of a company. They've had the company for over 40 years. And yes, they're challenged, but they're winning because of their attitude. And it's something that, you know, he told me today, he goes, I never thought I could work from home. You know, they have a big, beautiful office, and it's not that they're always going to work from home, but he's loving working from home. And he's, you know, he's a CEO, and he's been wanting to venture into maybe being less because he's, you know, just hit 71. and he wants to, but it's hard for him because he owns his company, but he's finding that, oh my gosh, the company can work and I can work from home and we're actually thriving. And so it was a new revelation. He was able to see something he would have never found if he didn't have the right mindset, and also if he wasn't forced to work from home.
Right.
Then I have my very next call is with an owner of a company here in Utah who said that, you know, it's funny, but she's not the CEO, but she's the second highest, you know, most percentage owner of the company. So, and the biggest producer in the company. And you know, a while back, the CEO said, you know, as a manager, that's not your specialty. You're the biggest, you know, rainmaker bringing us business here. You should really just focus on that. And so she became, you know, here's what happens. Ego gets in the way. Well, how dare you? Well, now because of coronavirus, she's been stuck at home and all she can do, she can't manage. She just produces. They had their best week of their entire history of their company this last week.
Nice.
She goes, huh? You know, so there are those opportunities that can come up with the right mindset. But then another CEO that I deal with that has two schools, maybe I give out too much information, but in New York City, you know, New York City has really been hit. And so his schools, they're martial arts schools, and he's one of the world's best at it, but they're closed down. So we had to work through and get very creative and do online things that he's hadn't done before, shoot videos so he could maintain. Now it has dropped off. Like he started to get upset. He says, we only have 60% of the business. And I go, wow, that's awesome. You mean that you got 60%? He was looking at the 40% and being angry about it.
Yeah.
And the truth is it is a drop off, right?
Right.
So that is the condition, but we can either be buried by that condition, or we can choose to say, these are the conditions, but I'm going to choose how I'm going to move through this. And even through the challenge. And just as on a personal note, he was depriving himself, like he needed a new barbecue. Memorial Day was coming up and he hadn't opened his pool because, you know, in truth, we talked last Thursday. I said, you know what, run out and get a barbecue, open up your pool. But I think what was holding him back, which is easy to happen, is that, well, I don't deserve to be rewarded right now. We got issues. Well, you know, if you got issues, reward yourself even more, because you're going to need that time in Memorial Day to breathe and to actually enjoy life, because in enjoyment and in gratitude, you're so much able to take on whatever is brought to you.
Well, you know, that reminds me, Dave, we talk about this mindset thing and people might say, well, gosh, what's mindset, right? It's literally how your mind is set. Where are you thinking from? What's your belief system? And one of the things that the science is showing us, and that's why when you and I work together, I love it, because you're telling the stories all day long. I get to do the boring science stuff, right? But the science part of it is just interesting to me, because if we have a slightly positive, we don't have to be overwhelmingly positive. We just have to be slightly positive. They say that salespeople, I think the number is 37% better in sales, in closing sales. Doctors are 19% better and faster at diagnosing. And productivity goes up. And that's just at a slight state of positivity versus neutral or negative. And so it's so critical, because these times, if we can find that positive in all of the challenges, in the tragedy, in the negativity that's out there, if we can find that positive, we can unlock a creativity that we didn't know we had. We can unlock something. And like you have got clients that I've been talking to, and you know, a yoga studio in particular, I'll just use that one example, but I've got others out there that they've always done it in person, and they were coming up on their five-year anniversary, and they had to close down, and they're like, what do we do? And so we worked with them, and I helped them to guided them through the process. They did the work of getting online, but I guided them through the process, helped them, answered questions, coached them, all that kind of stuff. And it was all about mindset. It really was, because there are other studios in the same city that they're in. I think there's 5 or 6 really big studios. They're one of them. And, the other ones, a lot of them didn't go online and didn't do anything. They finally reopened and all that now, but people they're having challenges. One of the studios reopened, and within a week has permanently closed because they weren't in the mindset to say, how do we get through this? How do we not just survive, but how do we thrive? And I think thriving is one of those things that most people are like, we can't talk about thriving right now. We just have to get by. We just have to survive. And I want to challenge that. And I actually want to see where you go with this, because I want to challenge that idea that I think we ought to be thriving right now. We ought to be finding ways to thrive, because if you look back through the course of history, no matter how bad it is right now, we are still better off than 99%, probably far more than 99% of the eras of human history. I mean, there has never been a time where we are better off. So I'll throw it back to you on the thriving side and see what you come up with that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and this is the key element I think most people miss. It's like we could say something, go, oh, that's right. So you feel it. You go, oh, I feel that. Okay, good. But it's one thing to learn something or know something, but it's another to do it, to take the action behind it, and then to do it on a regular basis so that you become it. And that's what I talk about mindset. It's not just about knowing principles. It's about practice. I didn't become a professional athlete. Once I became a professional athlete, I didn't go, oh, I don't need to practice anymore. Same thing with mindset. So there's tools that you have, but then how do you use them? And this is why a coach is so important. I mean, I feel like I'm selling, but I don't mean to. It's just, it is the thing. If you have someone you can talk to and get yourself to kind of, oh yeah, that's right. Like my client that was angry serving him. No. And he even knew the principles, but sometimes it's just, he needed to vent, as he said. I just need, now I feel better. Rather than stuff it. And I'm the vent guy, because he knows I can handle it, and then usually shift the energy into going, yeah, we are better off, and I can do this. And all of a sudden you build a strength I call it a strength beyond your own. It's always there for you. But, one thing that, because of my faith, that gives me a ton of strength is God is with me when I'm strong, and God is with me when I'm weak.
Yes.
That's so powerful to me. That easy concept, right? But
yes.
In the past, when I'm weak, I'm going like, I just X out God. Because, I got to figure this out. I got to muscle myself through this.
Right.
And
right.
It just doesn't lead me into the right place. I have to take a breath and surrender. Now, I don't surrender to loss. I surrender to victory, bringing in that greater strength that is always there for you. Sometimes it seems more challenging. Yes. But any of the clients I've been blessed to work with, their biggest challenges have become their biggest assets, because if you want to go to a certain level, right, you got to be able to be willing to go through stuff to get there. Well, right now we really have a challenge, but you said we'll thrive. Well, that is definitely possible. It's definitely possible, but it takes continuous, I call it right action, winning habits that you keep feeding. What you feed is going to grow, and what you starve will die. So it's your choice. We can't control what's going on out there right now. We can hear all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff to get caught up in. And a lot of people, when they get the anger, then they get caught up in all this stuff that, go, oh, that's right. And and then they find 2 days later that was a total farce thing, is someone just used it to sell them on something, right? All these things are coming out. Just don't, who cares? Even if it's right, if it's going to take you down, how does that serve you? Well, you can be dead right.
What strikes me here,
serve you if you're dead,
Exactly. And what strikes me here, Dave, is that we talk about, people talk about the Facebook algorithms, and, if I start looking at a particular topic or a particular emotion or whatever else, right, and I start liking it or engaging it or just reading it, right, more of that's going to pop up on my feed, just like the ads, right? I talk about, I remember when I bought a car, I talked about, hey, I just bought a car. Here's what I couldn't stop getting car ads for like 3 weeks. It was ridiculous, right? But the algorithms in Facebook are designed to keep throwing the same stuff at you, and you see more and more of it. Now, I'm not here to talk about Facebook. I'm talking about mindset here. If your mind is an algorithm, or whatever you look at, whatever you put your attention on, focus on, you're going to get more and more and more, and it's going to come faster and faster and faster. So if you put your mind on the positive, if you put your mind on the things that are going right, you're going to see more of that, because your mind is an algorithm that's calculating, saying, where is more evidence to support the belief that I have right now?
Yeah, it's so true. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's such a great analogy, because, it's so perfect, because you do whatever you like and do on Facebook, that's what you're going to start seeing. Well, our minds are no different. Thank you for bringing that up. It's like when you talk about a car,
Mhm.
let's say you have never seen this car before, but oh my God, I love it. And you buy it. And all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, everyone has it now. But it was always there, but your awareness wasn't seeing it. So when
Right.
you open up your awareness, I mean, if you really want to know how to succeed in anything, open up your awareness. And then once my awareness is open, how do I put a positive spin, even if it looks like maybe this is a challenge? But the first part, and that's the part that people leave out, is the awareness. Like you say, oh, I got to be positive. But if it's a false sense of positive because you're not being aware of what's going on, but that is it. It's what you're feeding is what, as I said earlier, is going to grow. That's why when you've never seen a car and all of a sudden you start becoming aware, you see it everywhere. It was always there. They were all around you, but now you're aware to it. Same thing with thoughts.
Mhm.
So do you want to feed your brain with negative thoughts, right? And get into that, because that will create momentum. I call it the domino effect.
Yeah.
Not the kind of momentum I want. That's not a domino effect, but we all are easily fall prey to that. Where yet we can have a difference of saying, okay, take my breath. So my emotions not getting all over me. In the Beast Triggers that you and I have done together, the Be a Beast, we talk about how to do it, right? These are good principles, but in the Beast Triggers, we say how to get a control of your emotions so you can make your shifts, right?
Right.
So the first part is take that breath so you don't get carried away into your conditional habits.
Right.
And that's what causes what I call now the domino effect. When you take a breath, and now you can start opening up your creativity to see what is the possibility here, rather than be buried in the negative flow that it's easy to fall into. I fall on the same prey. I know this stuff, but I fall on the same prey. Now, I'm going to talk a moment for the Beast Triggers that you and I did, the audio series. Why did we do it? We did it because we know how effective these principles are. You and I have studied this. You first came and started being a student of it, and then you took it and you added the science behind it, and then all of a sudden it just keeps growing, right?
Right.
But one of the things that we found is consistency and having availability to it. So we came together and said, let's do an audio series. So when someone's driving a car, instead of just being, thinking about the person that just passed, cut them off or whatever, they can be learning. Or if you're at the gym, you're working out, feeding your physical body, you can be feeding your mental brain set. So I have a CEO of a company and a president. I probably more, but the two that come really clear to me. The one CEO says his office is 15 minutes away. Now, this was before coronavirus. I think they've just opened up their office again, so he's probably going back. So what he would do is listen to one of our Beast Triggers on the way to the office. It was about the perfect timing of 15 minutes.
Yep.
And he said everything changed for him. How he ran his company completely changed. And it wasn't something he had to work at. It was something that was happening subconsciously because he was feeding his mind the way to be. And then I have this other president of a company that had the exact same type of thing. Maybe not, I don't know how far it is to the office, but whenever he was going to a meeting, he would listen to a Beast Trigger. And once you start doing it, there's 15 different ones, right? You can then choose, well, what beast do I need to tap me into where I need to be
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. And so while you're driving there, you're getting grounded into a mindset that's going to help you win. Right? I came up doing it all with pro athletes, and I still, now it's probably 50-50. I was going to say 70% business and 30% athletes. But right now through the coronavirus, I'm getting calls from NFL quarterbacks I've got working with. I've got a tennis player. I've got a golfer. I got several baseball players. I've got a basketball player, because they're not able to be out and handle their sport right now and do their thing. And these are the ones that go, how can I get better during this time? Well, I can work on my mind. So my business right now is actually really solid because, what we do, Tony, is important anytime without a coronavirus. But what we do during a coronavirus, it's like the most important thing you can do. Now, I'm prejudiced because I live in it and breathe it every day.
Well, it reminds me of a story that mutual friend of ours. I met him actually through you, Jason Botts, who professional baseball player, phenomenal guy. I love the guy, and he actually was with us when we partnered with the USO to do some work in Fort Sam Houston down in San Antonio
that was so much fun.
few years ago.
Great
Yeah,
memories. Yeah,
I had a great time there, and I remember him talking and kind of telling some stories about what it's like to be sitting there in the dugout when you're not on the field, and I'm thinking about that because of the sports you mentioned and the athletes you mentioned, even executives and entrepreneurs like who can't be doing what they want to do in their business today. It's like sitting in the dugout, waiting and waiting and waiting till your turn to get on the field. And that is the most dangerous time, according to Jason. That's when your mind just starts running away with you. And so it just strikes me that, people have to be thinking about it. Coming back to this awareness factor. It's like, how do you develop awareness? Well, the piece that I look at is you have to first observe how you're feeling. If you tap in and say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Then you can become aware that, hey, I'm not feeling how I want to feel. And you can start to choose different thoughts, choose different feelings. You can use a beach trigger that we have to, if you want to, and that'll help you move. But it's the awareness, because I've had people ask me the question, well, how do I become more aware? Pay attention to what you're feeling.
So that, and with the beast, since you're speaking of it, we
Yeah.
have the rattlesnake, as we call the rattlesnake AWAR, standing for awareness. So if you're walking along, and the rattlesnake doesn't rattle its rattle to say, hey, I'm rattling, so you'll come over and notice me and pet me. Come over here. It's rattling, saying, this is where I am. I don't want you to get any closer. Now, if you don't pay attention to the rattle, you get a hiss. And the hiss is there not to go, oh, come on in. It's going, I just rattled. You didn't listen. I'm now hissing at you. And if you don't listen to that, guess what? You get bit.
Yep.
So become aware of the rattle that we have, the emotional feeling that's taking place. Oh, what's that about? And take that breath. What is that about? Become curious rather than just, charge right in, get the hiss, and oh, I just got bit by a rattlesnake. We do
Exactly.
that in life. So that's why these beast triggers are so important, because just a simple thing like that, people who are watching this now you're going to become more aware. Yeah, it's going to become a practice. You have to keep practicing it. But just the thought of, oh, wait a minute, I feel the rattle. I hear the rattle.
Yep.
Right.
So I want to throw this one at you, Dave. We talked earlier today, and we were introduced by a good friend of ours, Pierre. He said. He has his exercise, and I'll let you lead the exercise. So, hey, if you're watching us on Facebook right now, and if you're live, play along with this, because it's actually pretty fun. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and just hit replay, type replay or whatever else, but play along with us too, because you're going to get something out of this. So, Dave, I'm going to hand it over.
Fun.
Go ahead.
Right. So this is Pierre DeBar. We have, so though out there. So my company's called Extreme Focus, and I've been blessed to coach what I feel some of the best coaches out there, whether business or athletes. You mentioned Jason Botts, who played Major League Baseball. He's an Extreme Focus coach. You're an Extreme Focus coach. David Norris is an Extreme Focus coach. We just got, I think, the cream of the crop. I'm prejudiced, but it's so cool. And we come together and we share together. When we get a chance to talk, we all walk away going, oh, that's awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah.
And Pierre today, who is the top guy in mental performance in ice hockey. I mean, he's had the MVP. He's now doing the whole program for the U.S. team of ice hockey. He's developing the whole mindset. And so I'm blessed that I've had a chance to coach him and that he's part of our team, right? So he said this thing today in talking about the animals. He said, this is how he introduces some of the animals. He goes, what are your 3 favorite animals? So right now at home, and type it
on the screen. Yeah. So we can see it here. What are your 3 favorite animals?
I can't see it, but you can. And if someone types in, just think about it for a moment.
So 1, 2, and 3, put the number 1, your favorite animal, number 2, your second favorite animal, and number 3, your third favorite animal.
Yeah.
So we'll give you a minute to type those in here, because I know it's going to take a minute to come up here. We're on about a 30-second delay here. So, but yeah, so as they're typing that in, Dave, tell us a little bit about why the beast. When you talk about beast triggers, why the beast?
Okay. So back in 2007, so it must have been maybe the same time I met you. I met Roger Anthony, who I to this day will still say, if I can speak, one of the greatest men who ever walked this planet. He was just humble. We called him Mr. Integrity. Every aspect of his being you could learn from him. Even if he wasn't speaking, he oozed out knowledge just in his presence. And we became dear friends. And he came, I was doing some workshops at spring training. And because of our friendship, he came, and then I would give a principle, and then he would trigger it with an animal. And oh my gosh, the results were over the top. I'm thinking, this is amazing how this is working. And we even went to India, to the World Wellness Congress in India, and we both spoke, and we just developed this great kindred spirit. But I didn't know how to bring his animals and what I taught together until it just finally hit us and hit me. I was speaking in an event up in Idaho. So I was living in Southern California. We were coming back through. He lived just south of Salt Lake City in Utah, which I said I would never live in. Where do I live now? Oh, yes, I live in Utah and loving it. So it's kind of funny. But, and it was the middle of the night. It just hit me. How do I bring this? Because at the time, he was doing more corporate work. I was doing sports, mainly sports. Right. And I thought, how am I going to get my athletes to buy into these animal principles? And it was my son. I have 4 boys, and it was Chase when he was a freshman in football, and we were doing intentions, right? The game ready. And he goes, today I want to be a beast. I went, wow. And he was out there, and he was a beast. He was a fullback, and he'd been running the ball. It took 11 guys. He was like a bus with 11 guys on top of him, But I thought, a beast. And so I was driving back through, stopped at Roger's home, and that night I woke up and go, that's what it is. It's be a beast. And that's nice. We married our work that we had been doing very successfully for years, but we brought the 2 principles together, and magic just took flight. It awesome. And ever since, this book, the amazing thing about this book is that unfortunately we lost Roger to cancer, and we lost him before the book even came out. But one thing he had always said, he says, Dave, this is going to be internationally known. This is going to be all across the world. That's one thing to say it, right? I thought, oh, okay, Roger, that sounds good. But when he passed before the book came out, I mean, obviously we were distraught. Kathy and I were just, it was so tough. And then when the book came out in August, he passed in April. I wake up the morning it came out, and I get an email from the marketing director who says, you're #1 in Australia. Now that's where Roger was originally from before he moved to Utah. I went, wow, that's interesting. How does that happen? Then I get another email. You're #1 in Japan. You're #1 in Germany. You're #1 in the UK. It was going like wildfire across the whole United States. I
remember you called me up as it's going. You're like, Tony, we're here. You just like, and called me up again later. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And then she calls me and she goes, yeah, you're going #1 all across the world. I'm going, and she goes, but you're #2 in Canada. So this is where Jeff Brody comes in. I hope he's still on. I
think he is. Yeah.
If Jeff is on, I called Jeff. He's in Toronto. I go, Jeff, did I coach you to be #2? Is that what I gave you? He's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, I never coached you to be #2. You're #1. He goes, whoa. I said, around the world, this book has become #1, and it's #2 in Canada. Get your act together. About 2 hours later, we became #1 in Canada. And in the United States, it was 22 different categories that we were #1 in. So nice. I'm like, okay, we had a budget. And I checked with the marketing director, how much have you spent? Did you go way over budget? And she goes, well, this is really phenomenal. I never got into it. We only spent $36.
The international bestseller on $36. I love it.
Yeah, on $36. And I said, Roger, I finally understand why you left us early. You knew you could do more work on the other side. And it was just a phenomenon. It was just amazing to be a part of. And it gave Kathy and I at least, feeling that presence of Roger again, Yeah. It could be, it's got a lion on the front. So maybe it's just a lion. I don't know. But $36 and it goes around the world, #1.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to our little game here. So we've got
Okay,
a couple people.
Sorry.
No, you're good. We got a couple people who've participated. We got a couple people who jumped on here. We got Rook. Rook has jumped on. You know Rook, don't you? CEO Space.
Rook. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he just jumped on here.
Hey, Rook.
And Jeff is here. Brian Breen just jumped on here, so they'll
Hi,
they're
Brian.
all okay. So we got more people coming out. Okay, so we're about ready to do this game here. We've been preparing for it. So if you're just joining us now, list your first favorite, your second favorite, and your third favorite animals. Go ahead and type them in the chat here. If you're too shy to admit that you love a fluffy animal of some sort, that's okay. You can keep it to yourself. But so when we did this earlier today, I gotta go back. Okay, mine was dog. The dog was the first one, right? A horse was the second one, and the bear was the third one. Those were my three. Hey, Chris Shack, good to see you here as well. Awesome. So if you're just joining us, list your first, second, and third favorite animals. We got a little game we're playing here. We'll explain in just a moment here. I just want to make sure you guys are doing this here.
So while we're waiting, if you don't have anyone to read off, mine was I had one was dog. I just dogs are always happy. It doesn't matter. I could go out and absolutely fail at everything I did and come in and my dog would still be wagging his tail going, "Oh, you're home. How wonderful." It didn't matter if you were succeeded or you didn't, they're just happy to see you. And then when we were doing it, my cat crawled up on my lap and going, "Don't forget me. Don't forget me." I'm sure that's what the cat was doing. I went, "Oh yeah." So I put cat 2. And then
Nice.
the third one, I was like, what is my third one? And my first thought said a grizzly bear. Now, why would it be, I'm like, I don't get it. And I tried to even think of something else, but I couldn't. So I put grizzly bear, and then we'll find out in a moment what it all means.
Okay, so we have several people have joined in now. Okay, so David Norris says he's using the beast principle. So I'm going to read him the way he wrote it. Number 1, Respa the crocodile. Number 2, Grady the dog. Number 3, Laspro the falcon. And then Kathy writes 1, Cor the lion. 2, Seldy the Arabian horse, and 3, Fejo the dove. And she's got more beyond that, but I can't expand it here while on my phone while I'm doing this.
These people know the beast, so they're doing it from what the principles are, right?
So we're
funny.
We're gonna go Chris Schrack, who does not know the principles. As far as I know,
cool.
He's got dog, cat, and monkey. First time I've seen a monkey. Yeah. Okay. Jeff Brody says lion, crocodile, and giraffe. And that's where we are. So we got 4 people have joined in. Other people are probably writing at home. If you're watching the replay, it's okay to write at home, or you can write on screen here. But Dave, now tell us, what does it mean? The animals that you picked, what does it mean?
All right. So I make sure I took my notes down earlier. So
don't get them in the wrong order now.
Yeah, I don't want to be in the wrong order. So your number one is
no, start at number 3, right?
Oh, start at 3. You want me to start at 3?
Start at number 3.
3. So I'll start at 3. This is how people see you. So I had bear, and I thought about it. Well, in our Beast Trigger program, we have Rezio, the grizzly bear, which means resilient optimism. And I thought,
so Dan Clark just added in here. I got to pause you for a second.
I gotta hear Dan Clark. Oh God.
Dan says dog. Dogs never lie about love. That's his number 1. Eagle for vision is number 2, and lion for the king is number 3.
Oh, wow. So we look at Dan as the king. We
That's
look
right.
at him as being courageous. He didn't know that. So number 3, your third animal is how people see you. Okay. Think about this, what you put, and think about how this connects. Number 2 is what you are. That's who you are. Now I had to look at cat. I put cat, right? But then I had to think about it. Well, scaredy cat? I'm really not a scaredy cat. But then I think, oh, well, lion's a cat, right?
Oh, now you're just abusing the rules here.
That's who I am. I'm courageous, right? So there's different types of cats. So I gave myself a little bit of room there, right? And then number 1, yes, and is dog. And this stands for what I want to become. And I thought, how perfect. I always want to be happy. I always want to become grateful.
So number 3 again is who other people see you as. So Chris Schrack realized that everyone sees him as a monkey, apparently. Jeff Brody, everyone sees him as a giraffe. Me, a bear. You, a bear. Dan's seen as a lion. And let me go up here. I know we had a couple more. David Norris, people see him as Laspro. David Norris is the falcon. He is focused. Absolutely. And Kathy is Fejo the dove. How appropriate.
Faith and hope.
Absolutely.
She's purely that. But I want to say, even the gentleman with the monkey, if you look at our beast training, now this
Yes,
you
thank
won't
you.
feel so bad about it, is that the monkey,
wait, before you go here, Chris, pay really close attention, because I think when we first met, the monkey really applied and in a very positive way. And I think you'll get a lot out of this. So go ahead, Dave.
So the monkey, if you really look at the monkey, it swings back, right? So it can propel itself forward even further. So people must see that you're the swing back kid, you king, that you are able to, whatever it might appear that you have a setback, but you're just swinging back to propel yourself further forward.
Absolutely.
You have the name of the monkey.
That's the Chris I know. I mean, it's like he take a step back from what he was doing, and he came out charging even more. I've seen him do it several times now. So I can see that. Okay, so we said the second one. So the third one is what other people see you as. The second one is
who you are.
So we've got crocodiles, we've got eagles, we've got more crocodiles, a cat. You were a cat too, weren't you?
Yeah.
Nice. I was a horse. I'm not sure what a horse was, but I guess I'll
go
with the Arabian. No. What's the Arabian? Yeah.
Stealthy. That's what Kathy is. Stealthy. Self-discipline. You are a very self-disciplined guy. I mean, that truly is who you are. You're very, the reason we use the Arabian horse is if you watch them, they're so precision. They know the science somehow of every move they make. That's Tony Bodo, baby. That's Tony Bodo. So that's so
hilarious.
Perfect. But see, you have to look at like the crocodile. Those that don't know the beast training, the crocodile has become adapted in an ever-changing environment. You know, it was there with dinosaurs. They lived in the same grounds, fed on them, the same grounds. They're cousins. There hasn't been a dinosaur lately that I've seen, but crocodiles are thriving. So if you did say a crocodile, you're adaptive. You're changing in this coronavirus part, and you're able to find opportunities like your crocodiles did. And there's a whole big story behind it. I won't go through the whole thing, but I just want people to see things through the eyes that I think that's why it's so cool to tie them to the principles of the beast. You might go, wait a minute, how can I be this? And like for Dan, where how people see him is courageous. He's out on stages everywhere. So that's the lion. And courage.
Well, and his whole story about the injury in football and not being able to coming from not being able to walk, telling people I'm going to walk again, getting up and doing it, and then it's like I watched his little promo video because he was on the summit that I just did with Betsy, my co-author, and we did that about 6 weeks ago. I think it was he was on it. He was so amazingly generous. And he's out there he tells a story about what happened in his life and he applies back, and it's all about courage. I mean, it absolutely is.
It's perfect.
He is.
So that's how we see him. What was number 2 for him?
Number 2 was the eagle.
Oh, man of integrity.
Yeah, he is the man of integrity. Absolutely.
In rock. I have to agree with that. I'd like to cut Dan down more. I think we're building him up too big. So I got to take him on and breathe through this. But yes, I would say in rock, that's integrity is his rock, his very foundation. So yeah, I totally buy that. What's Dave Norris's number 2?
Dave Norris. Oh, and here, David Gruder, you just joined us here. I see a couple others have joined us. If you just joined us, you don't know what we're doing yet, so you can play along. What's your first, second, and third favorite animals? Go ahead and drop them in the chat here, and we'll run through what's happening in this in just a second here. Okay, David Norris. He was so early on the game, way up there. Grady the dog. That's David Norris.
Okay, number 2, Grady the dog. So you know what? Every time that I ever talk to David, that's who he is. That is like so perfect, because I don't think there was a time when he decided to go through the Extreme Focus certification program, and he wasn't as able to be on it as much, but he'd always did whatever he had to do, right? But every time I talked to him, he was always so grateful every single time. Boy, did he nail that one. Wow.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's see what else we got. We got, we talked about the lion already. We've talked about the monkey. We've talked about the dogs.
Like the horse.
Eagle.
See, Selby
got the
is
horse.
It is Kathy too. She's very self-disciplined.
Okay, so Jeff Brody said giraffe was his number 3. So let's talk about the giraffe.
That.
Yeah.
That is totally Jeff Brody. That's how I see Jeff Brody. And so you have to, again, you'd have to know what the giraffe means to us. The name of the giraffe is Stretlet. Stretch a little. Keep moving and advancing. This guy, Jeff Brody, is always advancing, always, you know, and we're saying just stretch a little like a giraffe. It's got that long neck and then it comes out with that long tongue and gets the perfect leaf, right? That's Jeff Brody. At least that's how I see Jeff Brody. He extends himself out to that extra.
Absolutely. And I got to say that here's a little Stretlet that I've seen, or a little giraffe that I've seen in his Facebook posts in the last few months here. He is constantly trying to find a new dish to cook or a new way to cook something. And I sometimes give him a little bit of ribbing on him just for fun, but I'm telling you, he is doing some pretty interesting things and on the cooking side there. So I absolutely love that. Love watching that. So gosh,
I love this. This is really fun. And how in the world, Tony, do you get all these great people on? I do Facebook Lives. I don't get David Gruder on. I don't get Jeff Brody. I don't get Dan Clark. What's the deal?
I'm just more likable.
There you go. There you go. Wait. What are you? What number 2? Well, you're more disciplined.
I'm the horse. I'm the horse. Yeah.
No, you're going to be on. I don't. Okay.
That's right. That's right. There you go. That's it. That's it. Okay.
Ones?
So we got a meerkat.
Ooh, who's got the meerkat?
Well, Kathy threw it out there after the game started, but so
all right.
There's a meerkat in there.
The meerkat in our Beast program.
I'm not sure who she was referring to. She said, "How about the meerkat?" So I'm not sure. Oh, maybe she's talking about you, but I know you're not a meerkat. So
well, wait. Hold on. So our meerkat is called Deputus, and Deputus is a goal-setting system. So the meerkat, if you know anything about the meerkat, they're so far in advance in preparing. Oh, wait, that's where you don't believe in me, because I kind of do a lot of winging. All right. But I do prepare mentally. You know, I became number 1 for a reason, right?
Yes.
In tennis. So in the senior, I'll specify that, right? So you prepare for greatness, and the meerkat's such a great example. I mean, they're so advanced that when they make their homes in that, they make a nursery. They even have babysitters. So, hey, we're going to go out hunting. You know, the babysitters take care of those. And then they have sentries out there, and they have certain noises that they make. Like, boom, this is where the enemy's coming from. This is what's going on. This is where you need to go. They know by that noise. They're well prepared. So whatever comes, they can take it on. And that is a great goal-setting setup.
Yeah.
And so Deputus is to describe what your goal is, right? And then the PU is purpose. What's your purpose? Because if you don't have a strong purpose behind it, when you hit obstacles, you're not going to find your way through. But if you've got a strong purpose behind it, you will find your way through. And then the TI is time. What is a timeline? If you don't put a timeline, most of these things just fade away. Mm-hmm. So put a timeline. Even if you have a timeline, let's say you don't make it, expand it, keep growing it, you know, because things happen if you have a strong enough purpose. And then S in the Deputus is your strategy. You got to have a strategy of how you are going to accomplish this. That's why it's such a good focus in on a goal setting system. I'll go back to how I became number 1. I described I was going to be number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. What was my purpose? That's interesting. You know, maybe I haven't given that. I just went like, you know what? I've never allowed myself. When I was a professional tennis player, I was never number 1. But now I'm older. I was on the senior tour, and I thought, why not? You know, I've taught others to be number 1. Now I knew mentally how to do it. Maybe I didn't know mentally how to do it before. So my purpose was to kind of show that even I, if I could help others do it, I could do it for myself. So that was my purpose, really strong purpose. I really wanted to show that I could even listen to me, you know, and then the timeline, what was in that season, I had to, by December, I had to end up the year number 1. So I had the timeline. My strategy was, okay, I've got my family, I've got my business. but I need to spend at least 2 hours a day, find some time and space. I don't know how I did it now that I think about it, and get out and practice and get it. I would get up in the morning, go to the gym because I had to be physically in shape. And then I'd find the time to get out and practice and still get everything else done. So you know what? I really did have a solid system. I was disciplined to do that one because I had such a strong purpose behind it. So yes, I'm going to fool you on that one. I could.
So I'll give you, I was going to say you're just the deputy because you're missing the S, but I have to take it back now because what I realize is you have surrounded yourself with all the people that you need to do the strategizing and take the action for you. So
there you go.
We're good.
Any other good ones out there?
Those are the animals we've gotten so far. I don't see any others out there yet. So we got, did you ever describe the bear? I think I might have cut into you. So describe the bear just in case.
The bear, I'll give a little bit more. I said resilient optimism. If you think about a grizzly bear, they know where to go to get the fish, right? We know where to go to increase our business, right?
Right.
But you get there and all of a sudden these fish are jumping and they got to sit there and try to, get them. And sometimes that makes it challenging, right? But they stay there. They know that if they stay the course and they stay there, they're in the right spot. They can then grab hold. So that's why we call it resilient optimism. And sometimes in business, as a business leader or entrepreneur, you know where to go.
Yeah.
But then it takes the faith and the courage to step into that and trust to stay in that place. And that's why we call it resilient optimism, to stay in the positive flow that I know where to go. And even if it's challenging, I can still grab that fish.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because you and I, we were having such a blast on here. And I think everyone else here as I'm watching the comments roll by. I mean, honestly, I've never had this many comments on any of my Facebook Live. So this is awesome. They're really
like Dan Clark. This is game on. I'm going to have more. Here's our competitive love. If Dan Clark is on, I'm going to have more comments than you get when you're on.
Oh, I love this. Well, here's now Dan's going to be out there promoting to everyone else, like when he's going to be on, and it's going to be one
It's going to blow up your Facebook just by throwing that. We forget to have fun, right?
Exactly.
We want to achieve something. One of the reasons, I've had 4 players become MVPs for their teams in Major League Baseball, right? They're stuck in minor leagues. Half the battle is getting them to tap into the joy of playing. All of a sudden it's like, now, before when I was in Little League, we just played for fun. Well, so you're getting paid $10 million now. You can't have fun.
Well, that hits on something. And that the intention. You and I talk about intention a lot when we're out there teaching. We teach people, we coach people on the idea of intention. And I think I'm going to kind of wrap it around to the beginning where we're talking about mindset and the mindset of success versus the mindset that might lead you down the path of losing things right now. And it comes down to intention. So what in your mind is the difference between intention and goal? Because we've used both of those tonight. Clarify the difference between the two, and then maybe give us some examples of intentions and how you might set those.
Perfect. Great question. So goals are out of our control. We want to set goals, but we don't have total control, right? There are other things that might take place, but what we have control completely of is our intentions. And it's living, and it's who we're going to be to achieve our goal. And if you live your intentions, you are going to achieve your goals, right? But it's more about the process. If you get just into the goal, then you become tight and you lose the moment of being in this now present moment where you're going to be the best. So your intentions are things completely in your command. I'll give you an example of, I'll do it tennis. I'm playing a tennis match and all of a sudden I realize, oh my God, I'm about ready to beat someone that's really good. This is going to put me up in the world higher. I'm going to make this kind of money. Oh my gosh. Guess what happens? And I did it in business. After I played professional tennis, I was in several really blockbuster movies, and I'm honored to be. But then it gave me a chance to be the star in a movie, to at least audition to be a star in a movie. And I was so lost in, oh my God, what it's going to mean to me, that I was horrible because I was no longer present in the moment. That's what we do in business. When we put the goal out there and we're more focused on the goal rather than who we are,
Right.
it's going to get in the way. Goals are great, but don't allow your goals to get in your way of who you are, because it's who you are which is going to make you achieve your goals. So I always, with my clients, if they're going into an important meeting, a sales call, or athletic performance, set 3 intentions. Anything else is just way too much distraction. We already have 65,000 thoughts or whatever, a day. We don't need to be distracted. We want to be like Dave Norris, LASPro, right? Focused in. So just if you live those 3 intentions, oh my gosh, you're going to be a champion. And it just gets your mind in the right area. It's easy to wander off to, well, what if this? No, that's going to take you away from being present. So, some of the things that over the years, I've had so many great intentions from the athletes that I get a chance to work with. One that I love recently that one of my baseball players came up with, and that now everyone, whatever sport it is, I tell them about it, and they're going, I love that. And that is breathe with purpose. I love that intention.
I love that. That is awesome.
And here I've been doing this for 27 years. No one ever said until this year as an intention, I want to breathe.
You might be getting better at your coaching, Dave. I don't know. Maybe that's.
Well, I don't know. Or my clients are getting better. I don't know. But, because breathing is such an important part. When you take a deep breath, and you're the science guy, you can talk about all the things, but when you take a deep breath, it releases all the things you're going to tell us, but it puts you in the present moment and puts you in a total different state of mind.
Yeah. Well, it's so that breath is so important, because as you breathe, especially when you breathe through your nose, you actually oxygenate your brain, and that oxygen in your brain allows you to calm down. It sends the chemicals through your entire body, like serotonin and all of those that help you just to feel better. And so in that state of feeling better, go back to the very beginning when we started this, I shared, if you're in a slightly positive state, we're not saying hugely positive, just slightly positive, you 37% better at selling. Doctors are 19% better and faster at diagnosing. You're something like 31% better at solving problems. I mean, we're not even talking about getting into this state of flow, which is a whole nother topic you and I can get into at some point. But, this is just being slightly positive. So that breath opens you up and says, okay, relax, and then you can suddenly start reevaluating everything. So absolutely.
Exactly. So that's another one. I'm trying to think of my favorites. I've got a lot of different favorites, but so another one that I love, I was working with a receiver for the Carolina Panthers, and his coach was always yelling at him. It would be a distraction, right? And so I said, you just got to get focus into who you are and what you're capable of. So we came up with an intention of win the one. So all he was doing was, I got this play and I'm going to win this one. So no matter what just happened, no matter what happened, even if you got screamed at, and you remember I said, stay in the moment. Don't think about if you score, think about winning this one. And when he started doing that, it was so incredible. The first time he brought it up, this is a remarkable story. And he gave me his attention. He says, I want to win the one. And I'm big about being in the moment, right? Seize the moment. I love that expression. Yeah, just win the one. So in the game ready that I gave him, and he's visualizing, we saw Cam Newton was the star quarterback at the time, right? We saw him in this play that they developed that week. They had never tried before, where it's just Cam Newton looks to the right. He just goes up and steps back, and then Cam tosses over to him, right? So in our visualization, we saw him catch it, and he had this way that most players don't know how to do it, but he's got a 5th gear. Most of us just have 4 gears. And when we live in
some of us only have one, maybe a 1.5, Dave. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. And I know some of those out there know me going, hey, when are you going to get a gear? No. So, and we saw him put it in the 5th gear and just, whoo, right? So now I'm flying to Boston, and this is on JetBlue. And this is the day that JetBlue was the only one that could watch live TV. Mm-hmm. I'm watching them play the Atlanta Falcons. We've done the game ready before I got on the play. We're flying to Boston. I'm watching it, and it's now the end of the game, and they're down by 5 points to the Atlanta Falcons. That particular year, Atlanta Falcon was undefeated at that moment in the season. And so they're down just by 5. And all of a sudden, the 2-minute warning. And I saw my client come into the huddle, and then the 2-minute warning. And then all of a sudden, there it was. The time it was actually below that because it was only less than a minute left now that I remember. And so, I see Cam look to the right. I'll go, oh my God. And when I gave the visualization, I had him on the 30-yard line. They happened to be on the 30-yard line. I mean, It was like bizarre. I'm on the plane. People are going, what's wrong with that guy? I'm going, oh my God. He throws back to Kealoha was his name. He's a receiver from Hawaii who used to be my son's receiver. He catches the ball and he puts it in the fifth gear. And it's with seconds left. Now, they're ahead by 2 points. They get the extra point. Like they just beat the Atlanta Falcons, except they didn't. Unfortunately, there's still an end to the story. They kicked off and the Atlanta Falcon guy just had a great run back. And with 2 seconds left, the field goal kicker kicked a field goal to win the game. But my player lived his purpose. He lived his intention fully. And it was funny. I talked to him after the game, after we landed in Boston. And he said, the most amazing thing is when they had a timeout. It wasn't the 2-minute warning. I remember it was a timeout. And even the coach goes, okay, you got to just catch that ball. You got to, and he goes, coach, I got this. And even the rest of the team, hey, okay, man, you got, and he goes, guys, I got this. And it was just so cool of that whole being behind the scenes. Sometimes you get to see things that other people don't. They just get to witness on TV. But that intention was priceless. Now I'm going to use one other intention. I know I get into long stories, and I know.
No, that's okay. I want to see if it's the same one because there's one that I learned from you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go. You share yours because I want to. If you don't share it, then I'll go.
So my son Shane, who played a quarterback, he played for University of Hawaii. Then he played professionally for 7 years, and he had the most comebacks of any quarterback of all time. He played arena football, but he was always in the top 10 plays of the week for ESPN because he would come back with these thrilling comebacks. But one of his it's kind of 2 words, but they seem to work perfectly together: patience and trust. Because he's got 6'6" guys, 365 pounds trying to take his head off. And he has to trust his line. He has to trust his way to move into the pocket. That's scary, to move up into the pocket. And then you have to trust what you see and deliver on the time. It's all timing as a quarterback, especially in the arena football, because it happens faster than the outdoor game. So you have to, act with certainty. So patience and trust was huge for him.
So the one that I actually thought you were going to go there, the one that I learned from Shane, and it made such an impact in the story that you tell around this one I love too, and that is there's time on the clock.
Ooh.
Now that one right there, I have used so many times, and it resets me. It completely resets me, and I get some major stuff done. So share where that one came from.
All right. So it wasn't an intention. He had an intention of I remember because we had a call that day with all of us, and he said what his intentions were before the game. And then we're all watching on television, down by 17 points to Philly, down 17 points with under a minute left. That's not possible, right? And it was like so incredible to watch this cool hand Luke. I'm sorry, Luke Falk is now a client who's a quarterback, and he calls himself. So I can't call cool hand. Well, anyway, he was so
Stone Cold Austin. There you go.
Stone Cold Austin. Thank you. And believe it or not, they go down and score, and then they do an onside kick. Never even tried an onside kick because indoor it's even harder than outdoor. They get it. Boom, boom, boom. Takes it down with no time on the clock, running all over the place, if you remember, and then going into the wall, throwing as he goes into the wall across, hits his receiver. They win the game. I mean, so incredibly dramatic, And I asked at the game, I said, what were you telling the guys in the huddle? I want to know what you were saying. I love to have that inside scoop. He says, all I was saying is, guys, we got time on the clock. See, otherwise, their focus would be like, oh, this is over. How are you going to get 3 touchdowns in 50 some seconds? Not possible.
Yeah.
But he just kept saying, time on the clock. And it basically was just telling them, let's make the most of this moment. And they just played moment to moment to moment to having probably one of the biggest comebacks. I don't know of any sports that has ever had that big a comeback within 50 seconds. And it was so remarkable. We went ape watching on TV, but that's, and that impact, how the impact it's had in Israel when they're being bombed, our good friend was in
Efrat,
Efrat in the bomb shelters teaching that, hey, we have time on the clock. What are we going to do here while we're in this bomb shelter?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And then you've taken it. I have had clients that have really been uptight because everything is going to come down at 12 o'clock on Friday. And I go, hey, we got time on the clock. Like, we don't have any time. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Yeah, you do. If 50 seconds, you can score 3 touchdowns. We got 2 hours to solve this one.
Exactly.
A different outlook.
Well, and there's a couple of these things, like for salespeople or for, I'll just focus on salespeople right now. I think there's time on the clock is one that especially, hey, we're at the end of the month. So if you're a sales guy, saleswoman, and you're out there, you've got time on the clock. You can hit your goals. You can hit them. The other part too, there was another one you said earlier. What were the intentions you had earlier? So
breathe with purpose.
Breathe with purpose.
I had win the one.
Win the one. That was the other one I wanted to point out for salespeople. That one is huge for win the one, because don't worry about all the other people you got to talk to throughout the day. Don't worry about the ones that you talked to in the past or the future. Win the one. That is, if we could teach salespeople nothing else and they just understand the win the one, that would be huge. So we've been on here for a long time, Dave. We have had people come and go and come back again. I mean, we've been on so long that people are like getting their dinner, I think, and coming back to watch us again. So this has been awesome. So let's kind of, and I know when we say wrap it up, you usually go for another hour or two.
No. I've been told dinner's on the table.
Nice.
I'm going to, right? What's your purpose? To wrap it up, my purpose is I want to go eat it while it's hot.
Awesome. Well, I made my meal before we got on here and I didn't get to eat it because I was feeding my family. But so go ahead, kind of bring it in. I know we wanted to talk briefly about the game ready. So and it ties into the Beast Triggers. Kathy put a link out there for Beast Triggers if you're interested in the description of the show. I put a link out there for Beast Triggers. So if you guys are interested in the animals, learning more about them, go there. Not a sales pitch, just telling you this is what we do. We love it. You guys saw how much fun we had here. You'll love the Beast. So Dave, talk to us about the Game Ready, what it is, what it does. Take us out from there.
Well, it just puts you in that state of flow. When I was a professional tennis player, I would find myself every so often being in the zone, not knowing how I got there. Like, oh my God, everything slows down. Everything seems so easy. And you go, oh my gosh. And then it goes away and you go, oh, where to go? When will it come back? God, where are you now? And I said, there's got to be a way that we can capture that and create that to happen more often and stay in it longer. And I was on the plane with the U.S. Olympic team to the World Cup to Scotland. I literally on the plane to Scotland, I said, God, you got anything more for me? I want something that's really going to impact this team. It was really important. It's the first time that this is years ago. I had a chance to work with an Olympic team in a world competition. And the Game Ready came up. And what we did in that Game Ready has been my trademark. And you've used it, any extreme focus coach, Dave Norris, so I don't know if he's still on, but when we worked with the police force, they now don't go into radical situations. He sent me something from the lieutenant saying they don't go in without a Game Ready. How's that? Because it puts you in that state. And I have to say there was a higher power that created it through me, right? And it's a matter of, first of all, we talked about intentions. Get very clear on 3 intentions. And remember, these are controllable things. And to say, well, I'm not going to do this. Well, you're not going to hear the not. So don't put anything in negative. Put what you're going to be. 3. And then after that, then I take them through and go, think about what you're grateful for. Because, there's such a power in gratitude. And it just lifts you into a spirit that's so powerful. And I didn't know if you wanted me to explain it or actually do one. But
you know what? If you want to do one, I say we do one. So anyone who's watching this live or watching the replay, that they get the full effect of it, because I think you can describe it, but there's nothing like experiencing it, in my opinion.
Let's go for it. So this is how we call, and Tony can at some point can ever talk to science. It's so much fun because science has caught up to something that was just divinely given to me. My own sons who both played D1 football, one went on to play professional football. they now have what's called the Poise app, which is a game ready for athletes. It's going to be the complete game changer. It's not out in the public market, but only Olympic stars and major league players are using it right now. And one college team that had their best record in a long time uses it. So we know the effect of it. But anyway, so you set 3 intentions. We just talked about 3 intentions. So take a moment, take a breath. And if you got a pad of paper, think about 3 intentions. All right, today is Wednesday. Think about 3 things that you really want to focus in on to be over the course of the next until Friday. Let's just leave it simple. The next 2 days, you got Thursday and Friday. What are 3 intentions that you can know that you can live into? You have total command and control. It's your choice. You can live into. Set those 3 intentions. And if you don't have time right now, nothing's coming to you, take some breaths later and do it, and then come back to this and record. Just come to this part of it. And if you're coming on because it's after we've done, so let's say you don't come until Friday or Saturday, then just move it forward to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do next week. Wherever you're watching this, at whatever timetable you're watching it, just move it into, for those that are watching live, we're going to focus in for this Friday. But many of you will come at different times. So just get that. And then now, as you set your intentions, really just take a moment, take a deep breath. And think about all the things you're grateful for. Even in times like this, there's a lot that if you just allow yourself, think about, are you breathing? Do you have food? Are you healthy? There's a lot here to be grateful for. And even if you're not healthy, there's always things that if you allow yourself to be grateful for, because gratitude is a power that will give you the strength to endure anything. So now as you breathe in gratitude, another deep breath of gratitude, I want you to see a gate. Okay? As you see that gate, I want you to see your first name on that gate. See your name on it. That's who you are. And walk through that gate and come into a place in nature that's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. It is so incredible. It can be a place you've been to before. It can be a combination of places, but you can just be in this beautiful place in nature. Nature gives you such a beautiful gift that most people don't know how to tap into, but allow yourself to just tap into the energy here. Nature loves to be appreciated. So just appreciate the beauty wherever you've just put yourself. It can be a place you've been to before, as I said. It can be a combination of places, or create something that you just go, wow. And breathe in, take a few deep breaths, because in that breath, you're breathing in the strength and the energy here that puts you scientifically into what we call the flow state. Everything is becoming aligned within you. There's a strength beyond your own that you're tapping into. What a blessing you're giving yourself. And in that strength, see another gate. And on that gate, I want you to see your last name. You're seeing yourself fully here. You walk through your first name, you're seeing your last name. Walk through that gate. Open it up. And now see yourself in your life. And see yourself living the animals that maybe that you thought about, that you presented today, in those areas that you've been maybe aware of now, and see yourself living the intentions that you set and honoring it, appreciating it, giving yourself, the victories, one little victory. Give yourself a reward, whether it's a smile, a fist of yes. See what that feels like. And see, as you keep taking those steps, the victories, you're seeing yourself live into everything that creates the goals and desires that you truly love. Feel what that feels like. Even if you see yourself, maybe there's an obstacle here that seems like, ooh, now step back for a second. Breathe in, and let's shift it into, because you're now in a creative state, you shift it into an opportunity rather than an obstacle, and see it actually made you better. And actually you come out and you're even, the victory is even greater than you even knew. Feel what that feels like. Own it. Such a great feeling. Now go ahead and feel that for a moment and see your victories. Live into it. celebrate them because they're already here if you allow them to be. And that's all you're doing is it's part of a journey, and you're just taking one step at a time. Now go ahead and come back through the gate, come back into this place of peace and beauty. So awesome to go live and see yourself living the life that you have chosen, to live into the love of what you choose. And now coming back into nature to be reborn in the energy here. And I want you to see a creek and hear the creek, hear the birds chirping. Go and cup your hand and drink from the creek. It's cold. It's ice cold. It's the purest water you've ever tasted. And as you drink it, you're feeling energized. You feel the strength that I said beyond your own. You can feel everything in a line. So as you walk now, you're walking in that strength. You're walking in the power of this peace, this calm strength that you've created in you. Wow, what a gift it is. And as you look, you say thank you to this surrounding and feel lifted in this very moment. And go ahead now and walk out through that first gate. Open your eyes. You're game ready to take on anything. I'm ready to take on that food, baby. Eat it.
Awesome.
Well.
Awesome. Can never get enough of those game readies, Dave. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. It just shifts everything in me and gets me ready. So now I've got to go get some work done tonight because you've energized me. I got to go do something with this energy now.
And I know we got to wrap, and I know I'm guilty of it, but I get because you said that. So I got to tell everybody, I've been doing game readies for 20 some years, right? So many championships, Olympic athletes, the Dodgers. I can go on and on about the success, the wins in that. I had never experienced a game ready. This was, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I was going to a meeting at Universal Music Studios, and I was meeting with the CEO of Universal, and I was nervous. And I happened to be talking to Tony. And Tony goes, "Do you want a game ready?" This is crazy. I had never been given a game ready. Been given them for 20 years on that. Wait, I'm the guy who, oh, do you remember that, Tony?
I remember that. Yes, absolutely.
And so it's the first game ready I ever had. And oh my God, the meeting was incredible. It put me in such a state. It was the best meeting. I thought, oh my gosh, why have I been living without getting these? And so I don't have any meetings. I never walk on a stage without first getting the game ready. I always have my go-to. I call Shane, I call you, I call Mark Hattis, I call any of the certified extreme focus coaches. I said, hey, I'm about to do this. Give me a game ready. Isn't that funny? But you were the first guy that I ever received a game ready from.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, I'm honored to have the insight and the awareness in that moment to offer it to you. And I don't remember what I said, but I know that it had an impact, and I was honored to be able to do that for you.
Cool.
So,
blessings.
Yeah. Well, followers, friends, family, whoever's out there watching this, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for playing along with us as we did. If you just joined us or came on late, go back and watch it from the beginning, because there are some amazing nuggets in this. And I'm so grateful, Dave, that you were able to come on here and do this with me tonight. We talked about it for a while, and I'm glad we finally took the action and did it. So awesome.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll be back here soon. I've got a couple good ones coming up. We're going to have Dan Clark and David Norris, I believe, next week. So keep watching out for that, and we'll be back soon.